Welcome to Meditating with John Vervaeke. I'm a cognitive psychologist and a cognitive scientist at the University of Toronto. I study mindfulness and mindfulness practices and related phenomena like insight, flow, mystical experience, transformative experience, higher states of consciousness, the cultivation of wisdom. I've also been practicing Vipassana meditation, meta contemplation, Tai Chi Chuan, Qigong for over 29 years and been teaching them for almost professionally for almost 20 years. This is a course. If you're joining us for the first time, you're of course welcome to stay, but you should know that there's been a series of lessons. Every Monday is Dharma Day. I teach a new principle that builds on the previous principles and usually give people a practical exercise so they can get an experiential understanding of that. If you go to the notes for this video, you'll see links to previous lessons and also to previous sits. Tuesday through Friday, as we're doing today, we meet together, we sit. Sometimes I do a bit of review, but at the end of every day, Monday through Friday, there's a Q&A session. The Q&A sessions Tuesday through Friday tend to be a little bit longer. So, a couple of announcements. Remember that for Q&As for today, whenever we're doing a sit, please limit them to questions about the practice. If you have more general questions, and I welcome them, about the cultivation of wisdom, responding to the meaning crisis, the relationship between Buddhism and other wisdom traditions like Stoicism, how does Cog Sci interact with this kind of thing? All of that is welcome. And what we do is we have a live streaming Q&A once every month. We're doing it this Friday. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be at 3 p.m. EST. So I think that's everything we need in order to get ready. Please get yourself into your posture. Remember to always find the core four. Perhaps today you're doing Vipassana or Metta, or maybe another instance of meditative questing. Set your phones to do not disturb, and we will begin, everyone, when I say begin. Begin. Slowly begin to come out of your practice, trying as best you can to integrate what you cultivated in your practice with your everyday consciousness and cognition. Coming out of the sit is part of the practice. So just see if there are perhaps any questions. We did a lot of extra questions yesterday, so perhaps there aren't very many questions right now. So a reminder that on Monday we'll be doing the second part of the two-part on the 5 factors of inquiring mindfulness: vigilance, sensitivity, acuity, noticing, and reminding. And I'll be teaching you there how to deal with distractions and with hindrances. Here's a question from Strunner. Hey, this is from Germany. My question is, which videos from your YouTube channel are most conducive to better understanding of the metta practice?
More. Hello?
We're frozen.
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, hello? 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 Yeah, can you hear me? Can you go?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him?
Sorry for that. A slight technical glitch. Technology is the god that limps. I'll reread the question from Strunner from Germany. Hey, this is from Germany. My question is, which videos from your YouTube channel are most conducive to a better understanding of the metta practice? I believe it's episodes 9 and 10 and 11, where I'm talking about consciousness and higher states of consciousness. And I talk about the relationship between meditation and scaling down and contemplation and scaling up. I believe it's those ones. I'll double check, and if I've misremembered, we'll put the correct links in the note descriptions. This is from Matt Bonner. Is it sensible to use the technique of meditative questioning to explore the root of certain feelings or emotions? I sometimes find it hard to place why I feel a certain way. So this is a tricky question to answer. The meditative questioning is a good way to meditate into and try to see deeply into why you're doing this. Like what I mean is why you're doing a particular form of behavior or experiencing a particular kind of emotion. So it is a wise thing to do, but there's a risk to it, and I mentioned this last time. When we turn this from the act of deepening the process to a technique for producing a particular product, a result, a particular answer, we're training our brain ultimately in the wrong way. So I would recommend, if you're going to do what you're suggesting, that you set it aside at a different time from your regular practice, in a different location, and you do not make it a regular thing to use meditative questioning to get these kinds of deeper answers. So I wouldn't say don't ever do it, but mark it off very clearly and explicitly to more primitive processing parts of your brain that this is not the normal practice. I'm not going to do this regularly, so that they don't get fused and that you lose what the meditative questioning is supposed to be doing for you. Calico, TMH, I'm finding that as the weeks of practice have gone by, if I may miss one day, that I find an emotional arising of anxiousness. Is this too much of an attachment to the meditative experience? I don't know if attachment's the right word. And what happens is, and again, it's difficult when I don't know a lot of you personally, but generally what happens as you start, think of the word habit. It's related to inhabit, right? Habit, inhabit, right? As you start to let this process inhabit you deeply, and you inhabit the world that it starts to disclose for you, right? It starts to become a habit to you. A habit was originally the cloak worn by a monk, somebody dedicated to spiritual transformation, by the way, right? That what you'll get is you'll start to shift where this is starting to become your second nature, which is what you want. And then if you don't do the practice, I experience this very deeply. If I don't do my practice for the day because something has happened, or perhaps I'm too ill, but that's a potentially confounding variable. Let's say something gets up, there's an emergency, I don't get to my practice properly. I feel it throughout the day. I feel it throughout the day because I'm no longer inhabiting the world of the being mode, the world of waking up. So I don't think you're getting too attached. I think you're coming to actually inhabit the mindfulness way of being. Carolyn White, how to navigate uncomfortable physical sensations as they rise, tightness in the belly. Do I simply note it and move forward with my practice? Yes, Carolyn, do that for now. Notice it and move on with your practice. But on Monday, on Dharma Day, I will teach you how to actually deal with those kinds of distractions. We'll talk about physical distractions, emotional distractions, mental distractions. Why 3 lines for rooting? I don't know. This is from Dennis. I've never been given an explanation. So you're asking me to sort of offer a conjecture here. I surmise that what's happening is and this comes from more from Cog Sci. We have an embodied existence in which we orient, and because we're embodied, we have in front of me, behind me orientation, and then we have a up and down orientation that runs right through our center of gravity. And therefore, by doing those 3 lines, we're massively engaging the sort of fundamental fields our embodiment sets out for us in our perspective, the kind of perspectives we have and the way we are oriented in space. So I think that's the reason why the 3 lines probably evolved. I have no evidence for this. I'm offering you a conjecture based on what I know from the phenomenology of embodiment that comes from what's called 4E cognitive science. Andre Ferrer, how can I distinguish if I'm in the right state? Meaning not falling asleep, but being in the middle of the usual states. Today I have felt like falling asleep, but not missing out on the counting, etc. So again, you should feel quite alert in the practice. What that means is the state you're at, that sort of you're stable, so you're not, your mind isn't rushing, but there's a sensitivity, there's an alertness, there's that empowering of vigilance, there's a sense of the mind becoming more engaged with reality, as opposed to when we're falling asleep, where we're losing alertness, the sense that insight is imminent for us, it drifts away, we get a kind of contentedness, the sense of growth and change is diminishing, and the scope and engagement of the mind tends to also diminish. And so that's how you can learn to try and track between falling asleep and what we're ultimately trying to do, the Buddha, the awakened one, and wake up. Think about, use that metaphor. What's happening in your mind when you're waking up? Not when you're starting to plan your day and there's all the rushing worry, but that actual shift, that felt change in consciousness as you're waking up. You're sort of initially dozy, and then there's that brightening, the opening, the engagement, the seeking for the contact with reality. So everyone, thank you very much for joining. I want to thank my dear friend and Techno Major Mar, my beloved son Jason. Please subscribe to my channel to be notified of the next video. You will also find on my channel the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis series, a lot of other videos, my Voices with Vervaeke, discussion with people who are trying to bridge between science and spirituality and renew the cultivation of wisdom in our time. And so there's a lot of material on there that's relevant to a lot of the topics we discuss in this course, and also for encompassing it in a broader, more encompassing way of life and the cultivation of wisdom. And ultimately, other than what we need to do for our survival, what we most need to cultivate now is a growth in wisdom. Please share this video series, the meditation classes, with other people that you think might benefit. I'm doing this to help others, and I'm asking you to help me to help as many people as I can. We'll be doing this every weekday at 9:30 EST. And remember, one more time, there's the general Q&A this Friday at 3 p.m. EST. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Please keep meditating, contemplating, and flowing. Take care, everyone.